What's up everyone? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome back if you've been here before, and if not, welcome for the first time. So excited to have you. This is, as you can tell, relationship advice that actually works. I would say that we have definitely figured out what works, and we've been together how many years now?
12?
You better get that right.
12.
That was a test. We've been together since we were 15, and that's really young, and I feel like we've gone through so many hard chapters of life together already at a young age. I mean, high school is hard enough, college was difficult, navigating your career, like we've already hit so many milestones even though we haven't like had children yet. We've learned a lot along the way.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be fun to offer to you what has worked for us so well. You still love me, so.
Yeah, still here.
First up is communication. And
Wait, what'd you say?
Communication.
Communication.
And I think, like, again, I just want to note that some of the things, or like the themes of the advice we're going to give, are going to sound like your standard advice, but we're going to offer our own twist on the advice. And honestly, with communication, I do think it's number one, and I think that it is like the root and foundation of the best relationships when you have good communication. What is your favorite part about communication in our relationship? I'm putting you on the spot. Again, we didn't prep anything, so bear with us if this does not make sense.
Oh man.
Also, Jonathan is drinking too. I'm not the only blush. His drink is over there.
I was like naturally not a great communicator, so like I've become a better communicator because of the relationship.
You still have room for growth.
Ton of it. As uncomfortable as some conversations you have to have, like you have to have them.
You realize quickly in a relationship what your communication styles are and how much you like to communicate. And like for us, I'm an over communicator with everyone in my life. If something's on my mind, I hate confrontation, but like I hate inner conflict more, so I'd rather deal with that than like avoid confrontation. So I'm just someone that is constantly over communicating, and I've honestly learned to dial back a little bit. However, I do think you should always say what's on your mind. Jonathan would rather not talk about anything. We will get in fights and he will just pretend it didn't happen sometimes, and I'm just like, no, we're gonna definitely talk about that. Everything
about it.
Yeah, but don't you feel like, okay, if I was like how you were, don't you think if we both just harbored our own feelings and never talked about it, that would not work for anyone?
No, obviously not. You can't just completely get shut out. But it's
you
like,
would do, I feel like if you would do that.
I'm learning.
You're learning.
I'm learning.
A big piece of advice for me is learning how to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Like for me, I'm a very outgoing person. I'm someone that enjoys the louder things in life, I will say. And Jonathan is not. So it's putting myself in, this is just one example, putting myself in his shoes and understanding or communicating to him, okay, I understand why you feel that way, because you don't have the same reactions to life as I do. You don't have the same life experiences as I do. You don't look at life the same way I do.
Finding a happy medium between the two.
Finding a happy medium, and you can only really get there with communication. Trees are loud. They're singing to us. Next up is trust, and I think this is obviously huge.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear from you on this.
Well, the basic principle of trust, where
Which
like,
is?
you're not gonna go out there and do something, you know, ridiculous that's gonna...
Like cheating.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I shouldn't laugh, because I know this is a real thing that people go through, infidelity and all of that, and so create a boundary with trust if that's your situation. Luckily, that has not been the case for us.
Like, I trust that you're gonna handle a situation like with the best interest of this relationship in mind. There's different levels of trust. Like, I trust that you're gonna do what you say. I trust that you're gonna, you know, bring 50-50 or not. What do you call it? 100-100?
100-100.
Trust that you're doing, you know, the best things to make this relationship work.
Totally. And so I guess I'll challenge you one step further. Why do you think in our relationship that trust exists?
And probably just communicating.
Because back to point number one.
It all comes back to that.
You have to just know that your partner has your best interest. And I guess to honestly go back to the communication piece and the point I made about like putting yourself in their shoes, like for me, when it comes to cheating, or when it comes to making a decision that I know Jonathan wouldn't love that I did, or it wouldn't be good for our relationship, it's just putting myself in his shoes and just knowing, am I acting in a way that is representing both of us? Like you said, I really liked that point. Is it something that he's gonna be happy about?
A very simple man version of it is like, would I do this if Courtney was standing right next to me? Like, am I gonna jump off this cliff? No, because Courtney would kill me.
That's
like,
what we're going to?
Like that time I jumped off that, like, yeah, whatever.
You jumped off of it, though.
I did jump off.
That's a terrible example.
Well, it was a learning opportunity.
But I think in a relationship, you have an element of like selfishness, of self-serving, of wanting to do things that are best for you and not really caring too much about the other person.
There are things that I would do, or a way I would do something.
Totally.
That's not gonna be Courtney style, so I gotta like think about this for a minute.
It's, yeah, a genuine like respect for your partner and like understanding for how a decision you're gonna make is gonna impact them.
Yeah.
And I think living your life that way in a relationship will bring trust. You'll start to see in your partner like, wow, they really have my best interest at heart. They're not going to hurt me. They're not going to make a decision that is going to...
Yeah. Don't think for one, think for two.
Yeah. Also with trust, I want to say that your intuition does not lie, and if something is not working out, like, trust your gut. If you know in your heart that someone does not have your best interest, there's a good chance that trust is not going to build over time.
Yeah.
Like, you know when someone is just never going to put you before them. That's funny because next up is individual happiness and fulfillment. And I think this is a huge piece of advice for great relationships, and it's perfect because Jonathan mentioned how I always say that I don't think you should bring 50-50 to a relationship. I think you should bring 100 and 100. I think you should be 100% fulfilled in so many areas of your life on your own that you can both bring 100% to a relationship. That comes with individual satisfaction in different areas of your life. It doesn't have to be all areas, right? There are so many ways I'm not fulfilled when I think about my life without Jonathan. I think when it comes to relationship advice, oftentimes you just focus on the couple as a unit, but I would say just individually finding what fulfills you in life.
There's like a popular video going around with like Will Smith talking about like his relationship with his wife. You can't be each other's only source of happiness. Like, you gotta bring happiness from both ends.
And taking on hobbies, taking on
it's huge.
Things that really make you happy. People always
Outside
say
of the relationship. Like,
yeah,
you can't be your only source of happiness.
And people always say like, find things you and your partner can do together. Like, absolutely be fulfilled with each other, take on new hobbies or whatever it is with your partner, but find things that you're passionate about and that fulfill you on your own. And this is also outside of your career. A lot of times in relationships, people have their careers and they have their partners, and there's no fulfillment.
At least people like at our age, like we really predominantly we're working. You fall into a trap of like, if I'm not at work, I gotta come home and do the relationship. But it's like some nights you have to just be like, I need to go do my own thing.
Totally.
Like, I gotta. Whether like you're watching like TV or you want to work out or you want me to go to the range and stuff like that. It's like you need that you time.
Totally.
To like come back and be whole.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's so important. And that's such a good point that at any point in your life you have responsibilities, like your career, like raising a family if that's what you're doing, like doing things that you have to do that make you proud, that you're happy to be doing, but don't necessarily like fill your tank on your own. And having the space to just have a creative outlet or have just any sort of outlet to just like do things that fulfill you outside of those things you have to do in life based on your responsibilities is just so important.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
It does.
Find ways to be your own human, and you're an awesome human, so honor that and do things that make you happy.
Or maybe you're not a human.
Or maybe what?
Sorry.
It's fine. So the next one is to avoid the grass is greener effect. You know, you find yourself attracted to another human being, like, oh, you know, the attraction is exciting. I don't know, things like that are normal, and Jonathan often is like, no, I don't experience that, and that's fine. He knows that I do. Again, I honor who I am, and I think a lot of people do. But my piece of advice, because this may only apply to me, is to avoid that grass is greener effect, because if you are in a solid, good relationship, it is so much better than the greener looking grass across the yard.
Nice.
I will also say too that when you get to a point in your relationship, and again, we've been through this point, it's been a while, but that whole honeymoon phase, right? People like to talk about the initial stages of a relationship, and it's exciting, it's sexy, it's thrilling, blah, blah, blah. No, that has nothing on the feeling of being in a relationship where you are working hard to be in the relationship, when you are proud of yourself for putting in the work and feeling the reward for being committed to someone through the hard shit. Like, that feels good, I promise you. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, again, it can be tempting to want that honeymoon phase with someone or to want something new. And it's never, as long as you're in a healthy, really good relationship with a person that loves you, values you, wants to be with you day in, day out through the hard stuff, that is so much better than any honeymoon phase bullshit, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so you're telling me that you've never had any grass is greener thoughts, or
But it's like,
just a what if thought in any sense.
it's normal. I don't know. It's just always coupled with like a bad feeling. Thinking about you. So it's like if I'm thinking about this other thing or whatever it is, and I'm obviously thinking about you at the same time.
100%.
That half makes me feel worse, and that half makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So I lean the other way, and I just put my horse blinders on.
And I also think it's just like human nature to still allow your curiosities to get the best of you at times, and just come back and realize where you're at in your life and how happy you are to be there. Yeah, I guess my advice is just like be happy with what you have and find ways to like refresh your relationship. And if you're interested in making it a little sexier, you want to change it up, like do it. It's possible. I can say from experience. Next up is liking each other. And I love this piece of advice, and I don't know if it was my parents that said this to me, and for background, my mom and dad have been together so long too, and the root and core of their relationship, similar to ours, is that they are just best friends. Like, I grew up in a household where I just looked at my parents and they were just always best friends. They had the most fun together. They just are best friends, and I think that's super important. And so I think that liking your partner is the most important part of a relationship, because you can love someone, you can be romantically connected to someone, and that's fine and great, but that's not going to get you to 40 years of marriage. Like, you need to like the person. And for me, liking someone is something you should establish early on. If you are beginning a relationship, if you're in earlier stages, like if you don't like this person, then get out, because chances are you probably won't. Like, we didn't have to grow into liking each other. Like, we've grown into trusting each other. We've grown into communication. Like, actually liking someone should be a priority early on. And so for me, I like pretty much everything about you. Like, there are things that just who you are as a human being. I like the things that you value. I like, and those aren't things that I love. Like, when I think of love, I think of our connection. I think of romance. I think of intimacy. I think of the way you make me feel. Like, I like the decisions you make in your life. I like the way you live your life. I like your values. I like the way that we laugh together. I like that you...
I couldn't have said it better. You took all the best answers. Because we were best friends first, and like that really is the foundation of like where we are now. And it's okay if you weren't best friends first. You can create a friendship in a relationship. You can meet on Tinder, sleep together the first night, and still create a friendship. This is just the truth. No, I'm just saying that I think oftentimes when I give advice or when I talk about our relationship, it's like, well, not everyone was best friends at 14 and then created a relationship. I agree. Yeah. But I think you can still establish a friendship and like someone and make that a priority. I like everything about you.
Next up is the support of family and... Oh, Dobby just hit his head. You have a concussion?
You have a little CTE, huh, buddy?
Oh. I know that every situation is different. I just want to preface that first. But if you have like a healthy relationship with your family and with close friends, like you don't have people that are toxic in your life that you've like X'd out or whatever. Like, if you have a good relationship with your family and friends, right? Most likely they have your best interests at heart, and your relationship with your partner should be received well by your family and friends, is what I'm saying. And I think the support of family and friends is very important in a relationship.
I couldn't agree more. Those are the most important people in that other person's life up to that point, and you know, especially when you talk about family, not just friends, they've been there forever.
Yeah, and it's almost just one, doing yourself a favor by establishing a great relationship with them, because it's just going to strengthen your relationship with your partner. And also learn to love the people that like raised your partner and embrace them and be excited about them. And families are hard. Families are so hard. And if you've been in a long-term relationship, I feel like it's a little bit more relatable, because early on I feel like families and friendships are like welcoming and fun, but then it's when you go through life and you really just get to know people. Sometimes challenges and conflicts come up. That's natural, right? And an honest piece of advice is anytime that there's been any conflict with like me and Jonathan's family or Jonathan's friends or Jonathan and my family, friends, or whatever, just things that come naturally when people are around each other a lot of time. You work through that is my piece of advice, and you always prioritize, again, your partner's feelings, right? I don't want to have an issue with his friend and have it come between him and his friend, for example. Like, you have to put in the effort and put in the work when it comes to family and friends, and never think that you're above that or that you don't need to do that, because they're not your family, they're not your friends. Like, they are.
Yeah,
and
you
I
can't
think
put yourself on an island, like like live in a bubble with just your partner. There's so many people that are a part of that person's life.
Totally. And when you embrace that, it can be so beautiful too. You can have an extended family and extended friendships with people. All right, well, I guess that ends that point.
Yeah.
Family and friends matter.
We're busy.
And dogs. All right, so the next one I kind of wrote a little bit out. Understanding strengths and weaknesses, understanding when to offer support versus advice. I wrote what we've already talked about adopting the other person's mindset and putting yourself in their shoes, understanding them. Yeah, what is your reaction to that one?
I think that's a big one. There's things that people do and they know how to do naturally, like we just talked about, like communicating. Like, I'm always working on being a better communicator. Just finding the balance of being like, this is something that's not natural for this person, so I don't want to settle and not have this element of my relationship, but it may take a little bit more for that other person to do.
Yeah. Yep. Well said. I think just understand, first and foremost, what is necessary for you in a successful relationship. Like, what do you need your partner to bring? And like understanding that it might not be natural for them, and understanding that they're gonna need to work on it. And as long as someone's working and you see that and you understand that they are actively trying to be a better partner for you, like, that's okay. It all comes back to putting yourself in their shoes and knowing that you are not the only active participant in a two-person relationship. Like, there are two people there and you're both completely different human beings trying to make this thing work. We
understand what each other are both working on and what, is just natural for the other person. Yeah. So you can't take your natural abilities for granted and expect them in somebody else, but you also have to allow that other person to work on themselves.
Totally. Next one is intentional date nights, and I think this is huge. Literally right now, this is our like happy hour, and then Jonathan's gonna grill. We're gonna make some salmon and steak and have like a Friday night in, and I'm so excited for that. Especially while the weather is still nice, we can sit out here. With COVID, with being with your partner more than ever before, it is so important to realize that when you're just with each other all day long, it's easy to say, okay, I like work with my partner, like we're with each other constantly. Yeah. That is not intentional time together. That's not time where you are connecting and having intentional date nights. Like us, we love a Friday night date night where we just like put our phones away, sit down and talk.
Like, we were both home working together for more than a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're spending time together, but you weren't really spending time together.
Yeah, and it was really nice at first. I mean, I loved having you home and not in the city, and me not in the city. We just hit a point, I think, where we were like, okay.
Yeah, we're not hanging out. We're just with each other.
Yeah, and we're not connecting. We're getting irritated, and that's like the only experience we have in a day is us kind of being a little irritated some days, or like just with each other too much. Things like trivia or like fun, thought-provoking questions intentionally when we're just sitting down together, like cooking dinner or after dinner. I sometimes feel like we know everything about each other. Like, we've literally been together so long that there's nothing new to tell except new experiences that happen, which is exciting.
Yeah, like talking about your day and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is exciting, but having like date nights with fun questions is okay. I just would say, when you're in a relationship, especially long term, don't forget about date nights with your partner.
We both don't plan dinner. We just like kind of do dinner where we are, and
which is really fun. See where the day takes you.
Like last weekend, we drove up to a part of Maine. We just bopped around, and we spent the day, and then it turned into dinner, and those are like my favorite. We're gonna go out together today. We're gonna see what the world throws our way, and take it in stride.
We prefer that over a romantic, expensive date night. And again, if you have kids, if you have responsibilities, like, I'm very aware that we don't have that, so it's easier for us. But still, even if it's an hour after your kids go to bed, have an hour, a glass of wine, something with your partner to have a date night that is you time, that is intentional, with like your phones away. I just think when you stop doing that, things can get murky. And I also think that a lot of people don't put in the effort to like schedule it in. Like, if you have to literally schedule it in and tell your partner it is on this night, if that's gonna help like the health of your relationship for a little while until it becomes organic to have date nights, like, schedule it in, do the work. And then last up, the last point on my list, that honestly sounded like I should have been on Broadway.
Yeah.
Last up is friendship. What is that TikTok? Two friends about to kiss.
That's a thing?
Yeah, you don't know that TikTok?
No. And there's a glimpse into our friendship right there.
I feel like this piece of advice has shined through every example on this list, and I genuinely think that your partner should be your best friend, and that's really all there is to say about that. I mean, we can give examples and advice on how we have formed such a great friendship, and again, to be honest, we started out as friends, we already had that core, but I think our friendship has evolved so much more beyond what it was when we started, and I think it's because we like each other, because we care about each other, because we want what's best for each other. In 50 years from now, when your partner is sagging, when your partner is not like the life of the party or whatever it is that you like about them at face value, I'm just saying, for example, the person that they are at their core, is that who you want to be with when you're old and gray? And like, I genuinely get excited about that part of our future. Yeah. Because you're my best friend.
It's always been everything for us. You know, relationships and friendships are flexible through the years, and Courtney and I have gone through so much together. It's just like, at the end of the day, she's still the person like I want to tell something exciting or something, you know, I'm not too stoked about first, because it's just, you know, it's your person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just trying to like say yeah to you, and I'm just repeating yeah. I just agree with what you're saying.
Being best friends is just going to make it that much better, because it's, you know, it's the person you want to go to with everything. If
you're choosing to have a life partnership with someone that is your best friend, it's going to make your life better.
Yeah.
And the best piece of advice that we can give is to do just that, like find a best friend with your partner. And if that does not come organically or come with a little bit of work, it's okay to put work into your relationship. But friendship shouldn't take too much work, I guess, is a piece of advice that I would give. Like if you don't feel like that person has your best interest, that person loves you, you know, supports you, wants to call you in the good times, call you in the bad times, like if you don't feel that, then all the other things probably aren't gonna come very easily either. Honestly, I don't know how this video is gonna turn out. Just Jonathan and I drinking on our date night,
Friday.
offering some relationship advice for you. I didn't even introduce you to the people that maybe didn't even know who you were at first.
They don't know who I am?
I don't know.
You don't talk about me enough?
I mean, hopefully you put two and two together. This is the man I married. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Jonathan, for being here.
Yeah. What?
There's a plane.
Another one of the little ones.
See, they're doing date night up there. Why don't you take me on one of those? Thank you all so much for watching this video. Thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking. And best of luck to you on your relationship journey. I think wherever you're at is an awesome place to be, because you can always either put in the work to make it better or be in a position to realize that you're not in a relationship that's serving you, that's serving your life. And it's never too late to get out of a relationship that is not the best for you.
You are like right where you're supposed to be, whether you're figuring out that something may be working or it may not be working. Like, you're where you're supposed to be. You're gonna figure it out, and you're either gonna make it better or you're gonna move on.
Yeah, I love that. Great note to end on. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, please hang around, hit the like button, say hello, say what's up in the comments. I love meeting you, and I'll see you all in my next video.
You can do better. I dare you to be wilder.